Hello, welcome to the Yellow Submarine. In this video we'll be looking at all the Beatles albums in order. Before we latch on to these albums, kindly subscribe to this channel and turn on your notifications. Done? Good. Let's explore these albums. Please Please Me, 1963. This is the first studio album released by the Beatles and it was released on 22 March 1963. The album was released on EMI's Parlophone label and George Martin, the fifth Beatle, produced it. The album comprised 14 tracks and 10 of them were recorded in a day, 11th of February 1963. The remaining 4 songs had been committed to tape back in 1962, having formed the B-side of their debut release and both sides of their second single. The album's front cover featured a picture of the band that was taken at the then headquarters of EMI Limited at 20 Manchester Square in London's West End in early 1963. The album hit the top of the UK albums charts in May 1963 and stayed there for 30 weeks. The album consisted of 14 songs, namely I Saw Her Standing There, Misery, Anna Go to Him, Chained, Ask Me Why, Please Please Me, P.S. I Love You, Love Me Do, Baby It's You, A Taste of Honey, Do You Want to Know a Secret, There's a Place, and Twist and Shout. The album was voted 39th on Rolling Stone's list of the 500 greatest albums of all time in 2012. With the Beatles, 1963. With the Beatles was released on 22nd November 1963, exactly 8 months after the release of their first album. The album was released on the Parlophone label by EMI and it was produced by George Martin. The length of the album was 33 minutes and 7 seconds. The album's cover photograph was taken by the fashion photographer Robert Freeman and has since been mimicked by several music groups over the years. The album peaked German and UK albums weekly charts. It was gold certified in 6 countries, including the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom. Most of the songs were written by George Harrison, John Lennon, and Paul McCartney. The songs in the album are It Won't Be Long, All I've Got to Do, All My Loving, Don't Bother Me, Little Child, Till There Was You, Please Mr. Postman, Roll Over Beethoven, Hold Me Tight, You Really Got a Hold on Me, I Want to Be Your Man, Devil in Our Heart, Not a Second Time, and Money, That's What I Want. A Hard Day's Night, 1964. A Hard Day's Night album was released on the 10th of July 1964 in the United Kingdom. The album is 30 minutes and 13 seconds long. It was also released under the Parlophone label and produced by the man dubbed as the fifth Beatle, George Martin. This album has an American version and it was released on the 26th of July 1964 with different tracks. The release of the album coincided with the release of their first movie with the same title. 7 songs in the album, which constituted the first side of the album released in the UK, were dedicated to the movie. The album topped weekly charts in Australia, UK and Germany. All the tracks were written by John Lennon and Paul McCartney, and that was the first time such a thing would happen. The band dropped the album with 13 songs, namely A Hard Day's Night, I Should Have Known Better, If I Fell, I'm Happy to Dance With You, And I Love Her, Tell Me Why, Can't Buy Me Love, Anytime at All, I'll Cry Instead, Things We Said Today, When I Get Home, You Can't Do That, and I Will Be Back. A Hard Day's Night album has gold and platinum sales certifications. The band earned them their first career Grammy Awards, winning with A Hard Day's Night, winning Best Performance by a Vocal Group and Best New Artist. Beatles For Sale, 1964. Beatles For Sale consists of 14 songs and it was released on 4 December 1964 by Parlophone. These songs in the albums were produced by George Martin and they're namely 8 Days a Week, Words of Love, Honey Don't, Every Little Thing, I Don't Want to Spoil the Party, What You're Doing, Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby, No Reply, I'm a Loser, Babies in Black, Rock and Roll Music, I'll Follow the Sun, Mr. Moonlight, and Kansas City, Hey 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 Hey. The album's cover was designed again by Robert Freeman and it contained the picture of the band. This album was different from the other 3 albums released by the band as it contained darker moods and more introspective lyrics. Due to the band's hectic schedule, half of the songs in the album were covers. The Beatles For Sale spent 11 weeks topping the UK albums chart and spent 35 weeks within the top 20. The album was certified gold by the British Phonographic Industry and platinum by the Recording Industry Association of America for shipments over 100,000 copies and 1 million copies respectively. Help, 1965. This album contains songs of different genres like pop rock, country, rock and roll, baroque pop, and folk rock. Help was released on 6th of August 1965 and it was 33 minutes and 44 seconds long. The album was nominated in 3 categories in the Grammy Award in 1965: the Album of the Year, Best Performance by a Vocal Group, and Best Contemporary Rock and Roll Performance, Group, Vocal or Instrumental. The cover was designed by Robert Freeman and it featured the Beatles with their arms positioned to spell out a word in flag semaphore. The album earned Grammys notice, so it shouldn't be a surprise that the album topped the weekly chart in 4 countries, including the US Billboard and UK albums. Help sold 1,314,457 copies by 31 December 1965 and 1,594,032 copies by the end of the decade in the United States. The album has 14 tracks, namely Help, The Night Before, You've Got to Hide Your Love, I Need You, Another Girl, You're Going to Lose That Girl, Ticket to Ride, Act Naturally, It's Only Love, You Like Me Too Much, Tell Me What You See, I've Just Seen Her Face, Yesterday, and Dizzy Miss Lizzie. 7 of the 14 songs, including Help and Ticket to Ride, appeared in the movie that the band released with the same name. Rubber Soul, 1965. Rubber Soul was released on the 3rd of December 1965 in the UK and on the 6th of that month in the United States. For the first time in their career, they were free to record the album over a continuous period. In this album, most people identified the sounds with that of contemporary folk rock of the Byrds and Bob Dylan. The album is 34 minutes and 55 seconds long, and it was produced by George Martin. The front cover of the album featured the slightly distorted face of the band, and it was designed by Robert Freeman. Rubber Soul spent 43 weeks on the UK album chart and stayed at the zenith for 9 weeks. The album has 14 songs in total, and most of the songs were written by John and McCartney. Revolver, 1966. This album was nominated for the Album of the Year in the 9th Annual Grammy Awards. The genres of the tracks on the album include baroque pop, electronic, soul, pop, psychedelic pop, ragga rock, soft rock, and progressive rock. The album is 35 minutes long and was produced by George Martin. It was first released on the 5th of August 1966 in the United Kingdom and on the 8th of August in the United States. This album was their final recording project before they retired as live performers. The album cover was designed by Klaus Voormann, in which he used Aubrey Beardsley inspired line drawing with photo collage, and the cover won the 1967 Grammy Award for Best Album Cover Graphic Art. The album has 14 tracks, namely Taxman, Eleanor Rigby, I'm Only Sleeping, Love You Too, Here, There and Everywhere, Yellow Submarine, She Said, Good Day Sunshine, and Your Bird Can Sing, For No One, Dr. Robert, I Want to Tell You, Got to Get You Into My Life, and Tomorrow Never Knows. It's regarded as one of the greatest albums in the history of popular music due to its different musical styles, lyrical content and sounds. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, 1967. The album was recorded between November 1966 and April 1967, and it was released on the 26th of May 1967. It contains diverse genres like ragga rock, music hall, baroque pop, progressive rock and so many others. The album, which was produced by George Martin, is about 40 minutes long. Paul McCartney suggested that the band should release an entire album representing a performance by the fictional Sgt. Pepper Band. As usual with the previous Beatles albums, this album also topped the UK Albums Chart and the US Billboard Top LPs chart. The album was designed by Peter Blake and photographed by Michael Cooper. The album cover is one of the greatest covers and won the Grammy Award for the Best Album Cover. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band won 2 awards at the 1967 Grammy, the Album of the Year and Best Contemporary Album. It contains 13 tracks, and some of the songs on the album are Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, Lovely Rita, A Day in the Life and so many others. The Beatles, 1968. This album contains new genres like blues rock, experimental, heavy metal, country, orchestral pop, ragtime and jazz. It's 93 minutes and 18 seconds long and consists of 30 tracks. It was produced by George Martin under Apple label, which was founded by the Beatles. It was first released as a double album on 22 November 1968 in the UK. Unlike Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, the cover of this album is a plain white sleeve with no graphics or text other than the band's name embossed on it. The Beatles album, which is also known as the White Album, is the Beatles' best-selling album at 19 times platinum. It's also regarded as the 9th best-selling album of all time. Yellow Submarine, 1969. This 10th album of the Beatles was released on the 17th of January 1969. It contains 6 songs and 2 of them have been previously released, namely Yellow Submarine and All You Need Is Love. The album is a soundtrack to the band's animated film titled Yellow Submarine. It ranked number 1 on the Norwegian Albums Chart and Canadian RPM Top LPs. It was 3rd on the US Billboard Top LPs and 2nd on the UK Albums Chart. The 4 new songs on the album are Only a Northern Song, All Together Now, Hey Bulldog and It's All Too Much. Abbey Road, 1969. This album is named after the location of EMI Studios, and this is the place they met George Martin, thanks to their manager Brian Epstein. The album was nominated for 2 categories in the 12th Annual Grammy Awards, the Album of the Year and the Best Contemporary Vocal Performance by a Group. Abbey Road's cover has one of the most homage covers ever in history. The cover features the 4 members walking across a zebra crossing outside Abbey Road Studios. There are 17 tracks on the 47 minutes long album. The genres involved in this album are symphonic rock, metal, folk rock, art rock, hard rock, psychedelia and rock and roll. It was the last Beatles album to be recorded, but not the last to be released. The album was released in September and entered the British album chart at number 1 in October and stayed there for 17 of its 81 weeks in the chart. It replicates almost the same thing in the US, as it spent 11 weeks at the peak of the chart out of its 83-week stay. Let It Be, 1970. This is the last and final album released by the band on the 8th of May 1970. It was a controversial one. First, it was released a month after the band broke up. Second, it wasn't produced by George Martin. Despite its success, the album is regarded as one of the most controversial rock albums in history. During the recording of the album, the band was filmed and the footage was used for the film titled Let It Be. The album has 12 songs on the 35 minutes and 10 seconds long album. Once a Beatles album, always a Beatles album. As controversial as it is, it still topped weekly charts in 6 countries, including the United States and the United Kingdom. It was nominated for the Record of the Year and Best Contemporary Vocal Performance by a Duo, Group or Chorus in the 13th Annual Grammy Awards. We're going to let it be at that. Hope you enjoyed the Beatles album history line. If you do, drop a like on this video. Kindly subscribe to this channel and turn on the post notification so that we can alert you when we have something new for you. Thanks!